Hello and welcome to News 9. I'm Nishchita, and first up, there is more in store for Vijananda, who will have to do a lot of explaining as to why there is a doctor attested to his name. The election affidavit which he had filed says that he's only a 12th pass, and this is the particular board that is hung right outside his office, where he is addressed as Dr. Vijananda S. Kashyapanavar, MBBS, whereas his affidavit for the elections that just went by last year states that he is a 12th pass. Well, this man, Vijananda Kashyapanavar, is the same man who had assaulted police officials at the famed Sky Bar on the intervening night of July 1st and 2nd. And now that he has done the missing act, even as the media as well as the police officials are trying to find him as to where he is, we have come across this board right outside his office that calls him Dr. Vijananda S. Kashyapanavar, MBBS, whereas the affidavit that he has filed for the elections clearly states that he is only a 12th pass. So is Vijananda Kashyapanavar misleading people by claiming to be a doctor? Well, from the face of it, it certainly seems so. Well, Vijananda Kashyapanavar, along with his friends, was celebrating his birthday at the Sky Bar on the intervening night of July 1st and 2nd, and when the police officials had come in to stop them from partying beyond the stipulated deadline, he is said to have assaulted the cops on duty. My colleague Arun joins us with more details on this. Well, Arun, more answering to do for Vijananda Kashyapanavar, who claims to be a doctor. How far are these claims true?
Nishita, that is the million-dollar question as we speak. Remember, his board says MLA Hungun Vijananda Kashyapanavar MBBS. But if you go by what affidavit he has submitted to the election authorities ahead of the 2013 Karnataka polls, clearly it is an indication that he is not a doctor. In fact, the affidavit very clearly says, let me just show you the affidavit. We have a copy of the affidavit. It clearly shows educational details, 12th pass. So 12th pass by no stretch of imagination means he is qualified to become a doctor. So apparently he's had a fanciful name board put up for himself claiming to be a doctor, but he is not a doctor if you go by the affidavit submitted to the Election Commission ahead of the 2013 assembly polls which were held in Karnataka. So clearly it appears he is not a doctor, he is probably a quack. Now, besides that, he is given very graphic details of the kind of criminal cases that have been foisted on him. He is perhaps a very important visitor as far as the Ilkal police station is concerned. There have been cases slapped against him under section 351, 504, 143, 147. In fact, there is a case also put in the Bangalore City Civil Court under section 138. Just to remind you, 138 is under the Negotiable Instruments Act. It could be a case for perhaps a check bounce. So clearly, as far as this particular MLA is concerned, from Hungun, the Congress MLA from Hungun, Dr. Vijananda Kashyapanavar, doctor, is he or is he not? It says it all. The affidavit says it all. It says very clearly educational details, 12th pass. So the moot question at this point of time is whether he is a doctor or not, and how, if he is not a doctor, he can go around particularly putting up a name board. Remember, this is no place, this is the most important place. This is the place where he resides as a legislator, that is in Bangalore, in the Shasakara Bhavana. In the designated room to him, 324, there is a board which says very clearly Dr. Vijananda Kashyapanavar, MBBS. It doesn't say doctor as in a PhD. It says there are 4 alphabets below the name. It says M.B.B.S, which stands for Master of Bachelor and Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. So if he is claiming to be a doctor, why is he saying in his affidavit filed with the Election Commission that he is a 12th standard pass? So there seems to be a slip between the cup and the lip. Will the offending MLA explain what his educational qualification is? Is he really a 12th pass, or is he an MBBS as the name board claims, Nishtita?
Varun, what sort of an action can this MLA face if it is indeed proven that he has been falsely claiming to be a doctor? Being an elected representative, how was he allowed to even put up this board? Were officials around not aware that he was not a doctor?
That seems to be $1 million question, Nishtita, because he can very well claim that I did not put up the board, one of my supporters put up the board, or somebody else put up the board. The only point that is to be noted at this point of time is the name. The name says Vijananda Kashyapanavar, MLA Hungun. That is perhaps the only truth as far as that name board is concerned. The very fact that he is carrying a title, prefixed a title to his name saying doctor, and more importantly at the bottom of the name he says MBBS, Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery, and he claims in the affidavit filed with the Election Commission that he is actually a 12th standard pass, then there is some amount of explanation that he will have to do, because remember, this is, as you rightly pointed out, a very grave violation. There have been several instances where we noticed, remember about our own Prime Minister, there was a lot of noise made that he had concealed this information about his marital status. Remember, there was a lot of dust, heat and dust which was created, enough amount of newsprint was spent on discussing and debating about the marital status of the current or incumbent Prime Minister of the country. So if an innocuous thing like the marital status of the Prime Minister of the country can be discussed and debated, in this particular case, this is a major offense. You have to spend at least 7 years to qualify to become a doctor. How is it that he managed to get this title? Who gave him this title? And he went on to the Election Commission and said that his background was that of a 12th standard pass. So even that is something that needs to be explained by the MLA. How is it that he claims that he is a doctor, whereas in the affidavit which was sent to the Election Commission, he claims that he is a 12th standard pass, and he is also listed a list of charges on which have been slapped against him. He has criminal charges, including one for probably check bounce in the Bangalore City Civil Court. He's made a clean bone of that. But what about the educational qualification? Will somebody explain? Will the ruling party explain? Will the opposition ask for the explanation from the MLA? Those are the important points, because we cannot have an elected representative who perhaps, this is a very important document, Nishtita. Remember, this is an affidavit that you are submitting to the Election Commission. This lists not just your assets and liabilities, but also your marital status. It lists things like the amount of the number of criminal cases that have been filed against you, what is the kind of assets that you own, what are the kind of liabilities that you have to pay up, etc. So that being the state of affairs, when you have this affidavit made being provided by the contestant, you are saying he is just a 12th standard pass, whereas the board at the residence of the legislator in Bangalore, where he resides when the assembly is in session, clearly carries the word that he is Dr. Vijananda Kashyapanavar, and to add salt to injury, you are saying he is an MBBS doctor, which means it's not a honorary doctorate. Remember, there are universities which dish out honorary doctorates. You are allowed perfectly to carry the title, prefix the title doctor, or say PhD at the end of it. But in this particular case, he claims that he is an MBBS doctor. So why is it that the name board is saying something and the affidavit is saying something? So there is a serious amount of slip between the cup and the lip, Nishchita.
Right, absolutely. Thank you for joining us with all those details there, Arun. Well, there we have it. More trouble for MLA Vijananda Kashyap. This is the board right outside his office in Bengaluru, and it says that he's a doctor and that he is an MBBS doctor, but clearly his affidavit, election affidavit, states that he is a 12th pass.